Always choose to talk.
We ask the questions.
What is needed in the world?
Is that going to be?
The African National Congress has been the dominant party in South Africa since the end of apartheid. It took power in 1994 with Nelson Mandela as president of what became known as the Rainbow Nation. But in recent years, the ANC and some of its top leaders have struggled to bring South Africans together. President Jacob Zuma is facing hundreds of allegations of corruption. A recent ruling by the country's highest court said he violated the constitution when he used government money to renovate his private residence. The ANC has also faced harsh words from the opposition, the Democratic Alliance, and particularly the Economic Freedom Fighters Party, or EFF. This is what happened earlier this month when its MPs, dressed in red, objected to President Zuma answering corruption-related questions in Parliament. The Speaker ordered them out. The ANC is now at a crossroads. Many say the Party of Liberation hasn't delivered on its promise to lift millions of South Africans out of poverty, and the continuing allegations of corruption is hurting the country's once vibrant economy. So what does the future hold for the ANC? Today we turn to a fierce defender of President Zuma and his party, Member of Parliament and Foreign Minister of South Africa, Maite Nkoana Mashabane, talks to Al Jazeera. It's very good to see you here in Doha again. What we have seen several times happening in Parliament, an area that's supposed to be sacrosanct, just recently, another pretty violent brawl. Can you tell me what's happening there and what sort of message this?
There's so much positive happening in your country, by the way. I thought you'd remember that.
I never forget the positive in the country, but unfortunately these are the issues that are most relevant.
Let's talk about the most relevant issues. That you and I might be the same age group, but you have never carried a water can on your head. I did. When I was 10 years old. And not because I chose to. I marveled at a flush toilet because that was a pipe dream for me, but not for you. So things that you and I might take for granted because we come from different worlds, though we come from the same country.
Is it relevant to talk about our different worlds now when South Africa is supposed to be forging closer ties with everybody in the country? Are these distinctions still relevant?
Yes, they are relevant because people should not die for that. People can sit around the table and South Africa will remain a very important example that you and I can sit and talk about these things. And I'll tell you, it was hurtful. I've got a hole on my head here because I was carrying a water can and you were not.
Okay, but what has that got to do with the brawl that we saw in Parliament?
Can I finish? I'm a member of Parliament. For that matter, not appointed, elected. I go door to door to campaign for elections. I have to be a member of Parliament before I can become a minister. So I've gone through all that. I've been an activist at a very young age.
I'm not doubting your credentials.
Fighting not for Maite, but so that my children and my children's children and yours should not see the color of the skin, but see ourselves as South Africans. That Parliament, we used to see it from outside, and we never thought we would ever be allowed to just go sit in or at least go to a bathroom. But today we are members of it. That brawl, when it happens in other countries, it does not become a big hoo-ha. We did not, and we do not have time for such a brawl over nothing in our Parliament.
But don't you think it's relevant considering what is happening in South Africa at the moment? That people say that it's going through a real crossroads.
Can I finish? The South Africans I represent, my generation, who carried water cans, 80% of them today no longer do that. But the 20% don't want us to be doing the brawl you're referring to, but they want Parliament to remain sacrosanct, to remain dealing with their real issues, so that we can be able to clean out the 20% remaining or less of provision of basic services to ordinary South Africans. Things that other people think, if we were to talk about, would be crazy, because they've never seen that.
Can I tell you why I'm asking about the brawl in Parliament? Because Julius Malema told Jonah Hull on this programme that if his party were to face that sort of action again from Jacob Zuma, these are his words. He said he would take power.
Are you referring to President Jacob Zuma?
No, I'm talking about Julius Malema saying he would take power by the barrel of the gun. I mean, how frightened are you when you hear that sort of statement? Where does it leave?
I don't know.
I
think Julius can better answer that question of what he means by a barrel of the gun, because some of us had to raise small babies under our beds, fearing the barrel of the gun. So I didn't read about it.
So it frightens you to hear this sort of comment?
Before I can get frightened by Julius, I'm frightened by seeing an old woman carrying a water can in the streets of South Africa in 2016, and I want us to hurry up. Genuine members of Parliament to be concerned about genuine problems of South Africans, as His Excellency President Jacob Zuma. In my culture, Jacob Zuma, the President of South Africa, is not the same age as Julius, so I can never address them the same way.
You say that you want to see the woman who's still carrying water on her head today have a better life, but how is what we sing in South Africa at the moment, how is that going to help? And I'm going to ask about several things. I mean, there was a seismic shift in the view of South Africa, what was happening in relations in South Africa when the respected Nene, the former finance minister, was kicked out of his job. I mean, that had a dramatic impact on South Africa's economic reputation and the rand. I mean, that sort of action is not going to help the people that you're talking about.
By the way, the respected Nene, my comrade, is not the first minister to be removed from a seat of cabinet. The Constitution of South Africa says so, that the president can strengthen his cabinet from time to time. And it was for the first time ever that I've seen giants, I've seen leaders in South Africa. And he truly was the first minister, black first Minister of Finance.
But he was highly respected finance minister.
Well,
he
was doing a good job, but even ministers before him were doing a good job, and we work in South Africa, not as individuals, but as a team. And that's why we still respect proportional representation. There is no single minister like me. I can't sit here and say, why is President Zuma thinking of removing me? I'm doing a good job. No. We work as a collective, not as individuals in South Africa.
Is that why Pravin Gordhan is now being targeted? I mean, there's been news recently that he might be arrested by the Hawks, and that's obviously a special unit which has Zuma's influence. I mean, is he the next man to go, and if so?
I don't know. I've never sat in an interview where I discuss speculation of who the president of country A or B wants to remove. The world is made up of more than 193.
But, I mean, this is not speculation. These are direct accusations.
Direct accusations are in every democracy. It's only in autocracies where you do not find people having to answer this or that question from agencies that have to deal with issues of law and order. It can be a Maite, it can be a president, it can be anyone. no one else in South Africa is above the law.
Including the president.
Including the president. And he stood patiently. Yesterday, I was there, answering questions from all members of parliament. And even when people were becoming impatient, he would say, take it easy, and answered all the questions. In fact, we finished at much earlier than we thought, because I thought there was still much more that people wanted to hear from him. And he answered all questions sincerely. He never.
Okay, if you say that...
And I learned so much from that leader of mine that I respect so much. Not for anything, but because he fought for freedom. Secondly, he is a very patient man with the freedom that he fought for.
Okay, let me ask you this question. I'm just wondering how he's been found culpable of breaching the Constitution when he failed to repay government funds used in the $23 million upgrade to his private residence. He's now facing the reopening of corruption charges, something like 783. I mean, how can, with respect, I mean, how can he carry on governing when he has these accusations against him, when, when many high-level players are saying to him, maybe it's time to...
What does high level mean? What does high level mean?
Okay, well, Trevor Manuel is saying that maybe
Trevor
he
Manuel
should step down.
Is a former...
Katrada is saying that he should go.
Trevor Manuel...
Many of the youth are saying that he should go. I'm just putting to you what we are seeing on the streets.
Let me start with I remember. When I was an ambassador, I served with Comrade Trevor Manuel in Parliament for 1 year. I say 1 year because Mandela gave me the honor to be an ambassador of Malaysia for the first time, black, in Malaysia in 1994. When he was appointed, because of the color of his skin, he was called a minister of common sense. But it was never an issue. We supported him. Later on, he became a highly respected, now former minister of finance. So I don't know if there are still, after apartheid, categories of people in South Africa whose opinion value much more than the rest. I thought we had fought against that.
Okay, can I play something? This is from a little kid that we found, support of the ANC, and I'd just like you to listen to what he says.
The legacy of Nelson Mandela and Oliver Tambo and all those people back then, it has changed. Everything has changed in the ANC. Now it's all about corruption. Everyone want to do things for themselves. The leaders, they've forgotten about the people. All they think about is them and their families and their friends, and they forget about the people that they are serving. So the problem that the main thing that we haven't take the government out is because these people, they are so loyal to ANC, thinking that they owe ANC so much. I don't know, but myself, I feel like if there's nothing that is being done by the ANC, then they must just move out. I used to love ANC so much, but now in fact, I love the political party, but I don't hate, but I don't like what the leaders of the political party are doing.
When you hear comments like that coming from the young who are feeling down about what's happening in South Africa, how does that make you feel?
This clip that you've just shown me, unfortunately, happens to sound like a clip of another very young person. This one, I don't know if he's 18, if he's qualified to vote as yet. It just so happened coincidentally that I'm a mother of 6 children, me, Maite, raising 5, and I'm a grandmother of 1.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Of a 6-month-old girl. I want, and my children say this to me, I walk into the house and say, you spoiled brat, and they'll say to me, what do you mean? And I do this, I say this to them. Aisafani, they say, that sounds like a slogan of another party. Have you resigned from the ANC? So I laugh because I just wanted to test if indeed this so-called Aisafani is
Okay,
no
but
longer...
I want to bring to you what this man is...
Can I finish?
Yes, but I want to hear what you have to say to young guys who will be the next voting.
I want to say to this young man,
yes,
I wish you could be like my children, who say South Africa is the only, one and only country in the world where 300 or 350 years of apartheid legacy has been demolished in less than 20 years.
But despite that, parties...
UK,
so can I just ask you, despite that, you've got parties like the EFF and the DA who are gaining in popularity, and
that's called democracy.
They tell us that they might form a coalition. I mean, is the ANC concerned about their longevity or the elections coming up?
We are not concerned because there is no other political party in the world that I know of that has had a segregation, colonialism of a special type.
Does that allow it, though, to rest on its laurels?
That has managed to do as much as the ANC of Nelson Mandela,
but people wanted to
Oliver
do more.
Tambo,
people wanted to
of Jacob Zuma, had managed to do as much as we had achieved in 20 years. Show me, tell me of any other developing country that is not celebrating 50th anniversary, 70th anniversary,
I want to talk about
but has not done as much
forward. I mean, is this
marching forward? Marching forward, I can assure you.
Is this why the ANC is taking from the EFF
marching forward
playbook now when it comes to land reform? Are we going to see changes there?
EFF is a party led by young people.
Growing in popularity.
Who got 6% in the vote. And the little I know about arithmetic is 600% minus 6% doesn't make you grow in popularity. There was once a party of led by a former Minister of Defense of South Africa that got 30 seats. In the following national elections, they got 3 seats. Luckily, it's happening all in my lifetime. So ANC, African National Congress, is not a party of popularity. It is an organization, it's a political movement, the oldest political movement on African soil.
That it's about, always be respected.
It will always be respected.
Let me bring it back to...
It's always about the people, and that's why it has managed to do so much.
Okay, at the moment...
In 20 years. Yeah. I've asked you a question. Give me an example or mention one country which has suffered an apartheid of a special type.
I know, but people are saying now is the time not to rest on its laurels. Okay, let me ask you now. So the economic problems, travails that South Africa is going through at the moment, and the political uncertainty, what sort of impact is this having on foreign policy? I mean, where does this leave the country?
I don't know about political uncertainty, because I don't know of any gathering. South Africans, like me, want to know of what they put bread on the table. They want jobs. And South Africa is one of the very few countries, developing countries, that are globally intertwined. I asked one young man from Moody how many countries get assessed by them from the continent of Africa. He said, we haven't even started. We've started with you. And I asked him, as a black person, so you've started when? He said 1994. I said, where were you in 1994? I'm sure you remember this. When we had something called Operation Lifeboat, of sinking 6-7 banks that had nothing to do with black people. That black people spend 45% of their savings.
I know, I'm talking
saving
about-
that,
I'm talking about now where South Africa
I'm
is.
talking about the South Africa of the now that started in 1994, that I went to Malaysia as a young woman to represent.
Let me ask you, looking forward to the American elections.
Yes.
And I know there's been a shift in South African policy away from the US. We're not as intertwined South Africa's not as intertwined as it used to be. How do you see the elections playing out? Do you have a favored presidential nominee? And what impact do you think it would have on
Maybe
South
my
Africa?
granddaughter, who happened to be named after me, will have a favored candidate of another country. But as for my children, are still concerned about their own country. And for your information, because you don't stay at home, South Africa is still as intertwined globally as it was. And that's why people want to know what's happening on a daily basis, and we answer all the questions. The day shall rise and shall set, and the sun shall set, and South Africa will remain a global player, a member of BRICS, a member of the G20, a member of all other respected multilateral institutions, a country that ran a very successful UNFCCC climate change negotiation, a country led by such solid leadership that the French people are still thanking us up to today, that they've never seen a G77 plus China speaking with one voice from the Sustainable Development Goals to a climate change conference, speaking with one voice because South Africa was leading.
Well, that's good to hear, and thank you for answering my questions. We have run out of time.
My pleasure.
So thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thanks for talking to Talk to Us.
Thank you.